But
Yeah,
how can that figure not be there? I mean, this is what I'm
No, no,
talking.
hello, Brian,
Richard,
please.
this is what
Brian,
I'm
with
talking
respect.
about. The whole CBI
Brian,
project.
Brian,
The
with
whole
respect.
CBI project has no transparency. We get no numbers. We don't know how many people are involved. We don't know the numbers. We don't know.
No,
So
Brian,
if we
please.
know,
so
how
Brian, let Richard get a word.
Brian,
Let
you
Richard
cannot
get a word.
say you do not know if the information is available and you have not found it out. The committee, right, appointed by Honorable Deacon Mitchell to lead the settlement negotiations was obviously given a clear mandate, and I want to commend the Honorable Prime Minister for the way in which he led that process to where it is at today. And I also want, as head of that committee, which is different from CBI now, to pay, tribute and say thanks to other committee members that included Leslie Ancion, legal counsel, Hassan Hadir, Mr. Henry Joseph, and of course, we worked, assiduously towards making, this thing a reality. We brought it to a particular point, and of course, the cabinet and the PM took it, over the line. Mm-hmm. So, having said that, yes, legal costs are pretty, high, exorbitant. I mean, I wouldn't want to see those bills, right? Also, to the true and real cost to me is the number of young persons who would have left TAMCC and NULO, who for the past year, because this hotel should have opened in 2022, has not had the opportunity to practice the skills that they have learned to get employment as mixologists in the culinary department, cooks, maids, the taxi people who obviously had foregone opportunities and so on, right? That is a real cost to me. And when we come on the fiscal side, remember, fiscal sustainability is key for economic progress. And therefore, fiscal stability based on the fiscal rules remain intact with this particular settlement. And you are able to induce employment to, when a substitute developer is appointed, the completion of the hotel during the construction phase, and of course, the sustained jobs, of which there'll be about 150 close to thereabouts when this project is completed. That has been delayed by almost, I would say now, will be delayed for about 3 or 4 years, already delayed by 1 and some.
Now, you said you speak about the committee that that was responsible for making proposals to the cabinet of Grenada. Can you speak to what was your pitch? What was your pitch to the litigant here? Because of course, the developer is the one that took the government to court at the time. What was your committee's pitch?
Well, essentially time, right? Time is money. The developer is asking for a particular sum before the international court. We would have said there's a probability of success. So he was asking, I think, 111 million US plus interest. And if there's a 50% chance that he succeeds, then you're looking at 50-something odd $1 million that we would have to cough up to settle this matter. So you want to come up with a settlement way below that 50% chance of success, because if you fail, you see the cost. So then the real pitch was in terms of what really and truly do we have on the table? What have you lost? What damage, what hurt, have incurred as a result of the so-called breach by the Grenada authorities. And we had the conversation around that for several months. Obviously, as any good negotiator, he would come up with certain counterpoints, ourselves likewise. And essentially, we got it to a point where amongst and time for settlement came into the equation. We made our recommendation, and then the cabinet did further work under the leadership of the Prime Minister to bring it to where it is right now. So,
but the previous administrations, Dr. Mitchell's theory of the case when he was Prime Minister was that the developer really breached the rules in respect of the upfront funding that he needed to provide, the upfront investment that he needed to provide for that project, and he did not want to do that. So that was a sticking point. How was that fleshed out?
Yes, well, again, the allegations and counter allegations would go before the court for settlement, because anyone can assert whatever he or she wishes to assert in his memorial or counter memorial of claims, as it were, and then go before the court and prove your point. So our head was not in the space as to who breached what. That was not the issue. The issue is breaches have occurred or alleged to have occurred. The project is stopped. There are people who need to be employed. There's an economy to continue growing and developing and so on. What is the cost or price that we intend to pay to get this thing resolved? There's one number before the court, $111 million plus interest. All right, there's a probability that you can win. We might lose. You work that out and you look towards getting a settlement. And that's the whole idea behind, negotiations. There's a give and take. You go to court, somebody wins, the other body loses. And our experience before ICSID is clear with respect to Grand Lake. Government had a couple opportunities to settle the Grand Lake dispute, so to speak, before the matter got to the international court. And what we end up settling for international court was way above what was potentially possible. In fact, the numbers that were on the table at the time were lower had we agreed then and settled as a government, as parties outside of court. So that was a lesson for us, even though some people believe that, no, this is different from Grand Lake and we will win. There's absolutely no guarantee. So you go based on the probability of success and you look at the opportunity cost. Apart from the financial cost in terms of legal fees and so forth, the opportunity cost. What is happening while this edifice stands? In the sea blast, exposed, kids are leaving school, looking for employment opportunities and so on. It's a waste. So I just want to make those couple points, Kelon.
Okay. Did we pay anything to the developer?
I'm not too sure if money has yet passed hand, but obviously I think the deal is X amount upon signing and then Y at a later stage. But I couldn't confirm, Yeah.
You couldn't confirm. Okay.
Let me tell you, I'm not in that space. Right?
Okay, understood. Yes. Yeah, understood. Now, now that it's back in government's hands, of course, and this is where I'm going to bring Bran here. We lost Mr. Joseph for a second. But one of the issues and concerns that Bran has always raised is just the nature of the CBI project, which tends to be real estate and tourism driven. Bran, you have any reaction to this out of court settlement on this matter? I'm not sure if you've been following it.
I'm a financial person, and how can I make comments about anything financial when I have no numbers to go on?
Yeah.
The only number I've heard there is 111 million. I haven't heard what it actually cost us. Mr. Duncan says X up front and Y. Why don't we get the numbers? Now that the deal is done, now that it's all been signed and the dust is settled, we, the people, to form an opinion, we need facts. We don't have any numbers, so we don't know how much we're paying. We don't know how much it's going to cost us in terms of finishing the project. How much do we have to pay to the developer? How are we going to fund this? Well, of course, passports.
Well, I mean, good point, Brian. I think in preparation for the discussion this morning, the information as in the public domain would have been helpful. So obviously, the $111 million is in the public domain because that document, is on the ICSID website, right? In terms of the claim made by True Blue Bay Development and others. In terms of the actual settlement, the Parliament sitting that was last held, they spoke to the amounts that have been agreed upon. So that too is in the public domain in the 22 million.
And how much was that? That was
22 million US dollars.
We're going to have to pay them 22 million.
Yes, right. And obviously, there are additional costs, which would include the compensation for people with the acquisition of the property. Because remember, hold on,
Brian, let him finish. Yes.
The way the project is designed, right? You have to go into the legal documents, so that people actually have property rights that need to be respected, right, in our jurisdiction. So compulsory acquisition is something that happens throughout the world. The question is, what is a fair and just compensation for those persons whose properties have been acquired? And that is
a question. So these are people who would have bought into the previous project. right?
Correct.
And are now part owners of the previous project and would have received passports as
Definitely. Absolutely.
Right. So we're now talking about compulsorily acquiring their shares in the hotel, their ownership rights in the hotel. We're talking about buying that back. What happened to their passports? Do we get that back too?
No. That is untouched, not affected in any way, shape, or form.
So they would have bought in, gotten passports, and now we're buying them back, but they still have the passports. Do you see something wrong in this?
Absolutely nothing wrong in that. Your purchase had different components to it.
Well, I don't see how you can see there's nothing wrong with this, because if I buy something and it comes with certain rights and I am there selling those rights, therefore basically I get a passport for nothing. Because
I think not, Brian. That is.
Let me finish. They would have bought into the scheme. They would have bought into the Kiwana-based scheme. Say they've spent 200,000, 300,000, they bought in and they got their passports. The government is now going to buy them back at somewhere about the same price. So at the end of the day, they're going to get a passport for little or nothing.
No, we do not know that, Brian. So there's a freehold interest in the real property, right, that the government is going to acquire. And some people have freehold, interest in the property, which has to be
so in addition to the 22 million, do we have an estimate as to how much we're going to have to pay these people for their property interests?
No, I do not have that figure.
But how can that figure not be there? I mean, this is what I'm talking
about. Hello, Brian, please.
This is what I'm talking about. The whole CBI project. The whole CBI project has no transparency. We get no numbers. We don't know how many people are involved. We don't know the numbers. We don't know.
No, so Brian, please.
Brian, let Richard get a word.
You cannot say you do not know if the information is available and you have not found it out. So let's start off with that. You say you didn't know about $111 million.
No, that's in the public domain.
But yes, but you came on here not knowing that it is there. And you say we don't know numbers. I say the number is there. The $22 million is also in the public domain.
Yes.
I'm saying to you now that the number of persons, investors, I do not have the concrete figure because I was not involved in that part of the details, but I'm quite certain that it will be made available. And what I could tell you is, one, in terms of the rule of law, people will be adequately compensated for the acquisition of their freehold interest.
And they keep their passports.
Yes, and that again too is clearly articulated in the release coming out from the Prime Minister's office. Right?
All right.
Yeah, so just let's make those two things clear.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thanks for checking out the Bub Report's social media pages. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch our weekly live show, follow our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can catch repeat episodes on Wednesdays at 4 and 5 p.m. respectively on CRFM Radio and GBN TV in Grenada. We are also viewed on Sundays at 8 p.m. on WPG 10 throughout the Caribbean. Thanks for watching.